Can I tell you a little bit about Creed 3?
Oh yeah, I have not seen Creed 3, but I'm not really in a rush to see it. But
Did you see Creed 1 and 2?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Well, do you mind
I
if
don't care. You spoil everything. I don't care.
Okay. So we've been talking a lot and thinking a lot about the Creed movies lately. You know, the Rocky franchise, as we've well established, Rocky 1 through Rocky Balboa. Kind of with James Rolfe on this one. Just call it Rocky 6. Just for the sake of ease. But the first 6 Rocky movies, pretty flawless. And you know what? That includes Rocky 5. There ain't nothing wrong with Rocky. I mean, there's a few things, but it's not a perfect movie by any stretch. But I with the amount of crap there is out there, you could do a lot worse in life than Rocky 5. And then Creed 1 comes along, kind of an uninvited guest as far as I'm concerned. I don't really know what the fuck this is. I remember hearing it. I remember hearing like, there's going to be a movie coming out called Creed. It's going to be, and I remember I thought I heard it's going to be Apollo Creed's grandson, and Rocky's going to train him. And I was like, no. I was like, I mean, like his grandson, and why does he care? And Rocky's already trained somebody, and it didn't work out. And that's all the movie, and it's Ryan Coogler, and it pretty much worked. There's definitely some things about Creed 1 that are a problem. Don't know that I ever needed to see Rocky Balboa dying of cancer.
Oh, right. I remember. I forget if that was Creed 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I don't remember. They kind of like mashed together for me right now.
I don't think that we needed, like, do you need to leave Rocky that estranged with his son after what we saw in Rocky Balboa? Did you need to kill Paulie, one of the greatest characters in cinema, off screen? Died at some point.
He died on the way back to his planet.
Oh, you nuts. Yo, Paulie, what are cojones? Cojones are Latin for Spanish nuts. That's from Rocky 5. That's from Rocky 5. That's a good movie. So that doesn't really work. And then like the gymnastics they had to do just to give Apollo a child that wasn't the children we already met in the other movies. Okay, he had a mistress. Okay, well that kind of taints the character now, doesn't it? And and then the kid grew up totally detached from his family, but then the mom shows up, and it's just it's all a little fucking rich, like,
yeah.
How do we get here? But we talk about story and plot. I think it's got kind of a dubious plot, but I do think that the hey, what am I gonna live for at this stage of my life still kind of works in that movie. It's done artfully. I think it all kind of works, and it was cool to give a Rocky movie a new flavor, something a directorial flair we had never seen in any other Rocky movie, while still I think being attached.
Yeah. I remember the style was in cinematography was pretty good in that movie.
You could tell
in direction.
Coogler wanted to make that movie.
Yes.
I remember after Fruitvale Station, his big hit, that was Creed was the movie he wanted to make. I guess his dad was a big fan of the Rocky movies, and they had happy memories watching it and stuff. So the guy went on to do that. I mean, he's a good filmmaker. He's a damn good filmmaker. So then they make Creed 2, and Coogler is only a producer or something, and goes off and makes Black Panther movies. And
that felt like a director for hire, just made it and assembled it. It was much less style, much flatter.
I don't really know like what that movie has to hang its hat on. Like, okay, just to start, like in the last one, you gave Rocky like a total crisis about like he states in Creed like I'm kind of looking forward to dying so I can be with my wife again. And then he has cancer, and then he overcomes it. And that's a good place to leave him so that we don't have to continue to live his misery. Because like no more, it's like the Toy Story movies where you're like, all right, we got the toys off to Bonnie, and we're going to, like, we've survived
this. We're going to abandon them again.
Yeah, don't be putting me through this every other movie. But yeah, it's like, I'm going to fight Drago, and then Drago's, and they did some, it's interesting, I suppose. Ivan Drago became this, this unpersoned, Soviet athlete and stuff. And his son is cool, I guess, but he's just not anywhere near as cool as Ivan Drago from Rocky IV.
Yeah.
It's just by the time you get to Creed 2, it's like there's just none of that Rocky magic is there.
Yeah, there's a few moments, between Drago and his son and the mother character that are kind of dramatic and interesting, but there's not enough there for me to even remember what the plot is.
There's a cool, training montage in it. I don't think any Rocky movie, including the Creed movies, have let down in the training montage. I suppose that's the one thing you cannot fuck that up. There's a rich legacy there. So whatever. So then they kind of plop Rocky at the end with his son again. I'm like, okay, good. And it's a bummer because like you find out like Rocky has never met his own grandson, the who looks like Adrian, and like this is a really tragic ending. I'm like, stop it with giving this guy like just torturing this character. Because you got to remember, like this is a character who has been around for like 50 years.
Right.
And played by the same guy. He is close to a real person. As close as fictional people get. Someday Sylvester Stallone will die, and it will be kind of like Rocky died. And
yes.
it's gonna affect people. It's gonna affect millions and millions of people because we have all really there's very few characters that like you connect on that personal of a level. You know, I don't think Han Solo is one of them. I mean, yes, we love that character, but it's not the same. It's not Star Wars doesn't tell a story like Rocky tells, you know?
Yeah.
You really feel like you know that character. There are some scenes like the one in Rocky Balboa. I don't know if it's the last time you saw Rocky Balboa.
I saw it in theaters and that was probably it.
There's like he's like grieving for Adrian and stuff. And there's this scene where he's in the meatpacking plant and Paulie's being insensitive and he just ends up having this like emotional eruption. And it's an incredible little piece of cinema and performance. And just Stallone is the heart of these things.
Yes.
So that brings us to Creed 3, the first ever Stallone-less Rocky movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't want anything to do with it because of the Irwin Winkler snake stuff.
Have nothing to leave to my kids.
You don't have rights. And also he now is saying he felt like the movie went into a dark place, that it told an unrelatable story, and that if Rocky was in it, Rocky would have nothing to do. There would be no arc for Rocky. Rocky just stands there and gets water and stuff.
I really had I was a bucket, like a spear hold. Like, whatever you need, I'm here. Like you feel like you're just part of the background. Rocky needs to be one-on-one with Adonis Creed for it to really work, I think. Like Mickey and Rocky, that kind of relationship. Which
sounds kind of egotistical, but it makes perfect sense. You can't put this titan of cinema in a movie and give him nothing to do.
Yeah. Just give him water, yeah.
Yeah, like, can I help with anything?
Spud you?
Yo, bupkis. I'm not doing bupkis. I'm proud of that one.
Bupkis!
That's good. Yo, bupkis. I'm not doing bupkis.
Yo, bupkis!
So the movie ends up being for everything that is working against it. I think it largely overcomes the problem. They established in Creed 1 that Donnie grew up in a group home because he was kind of orphaned. Because I guess Apollo Creed just throws kids out.
Yeah.
We had to make that happen. We had to contrive that.
Yeah. It's like Apollo Creed he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah. And he goes and gets himself killed by a Russian man. And then
leaving all these orphaned kids everywhere.
Donnie falls in with young Jonathan Majors, who we now know is
allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't know, man. I saw like the text. The lawyer was like, "We have indisputable proof."
It's like it turns out she was sorry that he took the phone and then he beat her up. It's fine.
She is really excited to see the kind of threat that Kang is going to offer our heroes in the next couple of movies.
Yeah.
She does not want this to negatively impact the MCU, and she will be visiting Disney World very soon.
And in other news, Kang suddenly looks like John Boyega.
He fell in with young Jonathan Majors, who wants to be a boxer, and they're like, yeah, you're going to be like the best in the world, man. You're going to be champ one day. And then they encounter an abuser from the group home now that they're older, and they start Donnie starts beating the crap out of him. Jonathan Majors, the character's name is Dame. Dame pulls a gun on the abuser. Police show up. Donnie runs and gets away with it. Jonathan Majors goes to jail for like 15 years or something. And so then it jumps forward 3 years. And he's in his last fight. No, sorry. It doesn't jump forward. It jumps to present. I don't know, sometime soon after Creed 2. And he's in his last fight, and it's a rematch with the guy from the first movie, Ricky Conlon. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I never, like, in past Rocky movies, they never made the past villains like part of the milieu.
Yeah, it
now
makes
there's
sense,
like
though.
kind of, they're collecting characters, which is kind of neat. And he beats him because he has bigger main character powers than he did in the first movie. I kind of like, for this series, I kind of wish that they hadn't gone the whole like world heavyweight champion. Couldn't he have like remained a smaller fighter or something and made it just to make it a little bit more distinct? And then he retires. Then they jump forward 3 years. He's running his old gym. He has a protege named Felix that he's building up to be the new champ, or maybe he is already the new champ. When Jonathan Majors comes back, he feels guilt because he let the guy take the fall for him. He allows him to spar, and then he's putting together a big match between Felix, his protege, and Drago, who he's now like totally friends with. Drago's son, who he's totally friends with. Putting together a huge match. Jonathan Majors hires, a bandit of some kind to injure Drago, leaving open a slot for the fight because they already had the venue. And he goes like, oh yeah, we could book Jonathan Majors, like kind of like back when Rocky fought Apollo. It'll be like an unknown fighting the champ, give him a chance. So it's Rocky 1, but flipped, where the villain gets the chance. He fights dirty like Clubber Lang in Rocky 3, and he wins. And then he turns wicked. He has a huge heel turn against Donnie. He says like, I hate you, blah, blah. And he just starts talking shit about him. And the shit talk inspires Donnie to fight him. And they have the final fight, and that's the movie.
I see.
And so, more spoilers. The mom dies of a stroke. And Rocky does not go to the funeral. He says, fuck that. He's worried that Erwin Winkler's going to be there. Very strange that Rocky wouldn't go to the... I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well.
I thought it was unrelatable. And then... What else? Like, the deaf daughter is in it. She's, like, older now, and she wants to train to fight. Ultimately, there really is no story for Rocky, so it is better that he just not be there. When he's training, he spars with Drago, and I was like, oh, now he's got to do a boss rush before the final boss. And I thought, like, fighting Drago in the last one was much like Rocky 4. It was kind of like the ultimate fight. It was like life or death. And in this one, he's fighting kind of like his childhood doppelganger. He's kind of fighting the evil mirror version of himself. And I was like, is that something we see in mythology or in like video games sometimes where
Shadow Link.
I'm thinking Shadow Link. You fight the dragon. Dude's name is literally Drago.
Right.
And so you slay the dragon and you should be done, but you have to fight evil you last.
Right.
But what about the times that, like, in a lot of the Marvel movies, our friend Sam was pointing out, they often fight their doppelganger, like in the first movie. So at some point you got to fight your doppelganger. They decided to do that this time.
It's true. Yeah, like in the first Black Panther.
yeah, exactly. We would fight Michael B. Jordan. All these fucking Marvel villains hanging around this movie. Yeah, because they got Tessa Thompson. All the Marvel people are there. And Everybody except for Cosby's wife. One of the things that a lot of people are talking about with this movie is there's a specific sequence at the end where they're fighting, and it's kind of your traditional Rocky fight, and then it stops and it goes into kind of a surreal place where it's just the two of them in this kind of like surreal cloud world, and it's just them in the ring, like just it goes very like arty, and then it becomes like a cage match, like cages come out because it's supposed to be like they're in prison together. They should both be in prison. They go like heavy symbolism all of a sudden with like special effects. Interesting. And a lot of people thought that was very different than Rocky films. I felt like it wasn't a huge stretch. Like there have been other surreal moments during fights, like slow-mo and artful cinematography. I didn't think it was too big of a stretch. It felt like it was, and story-wise, it felt about right. It was like these two guys have a problem that they've not solved that they're solving currently. Majors is good. He didn't blow me away or anything, but he plays a character who you feel like he's so rough around the edges. He's so raw. He's so kind of like unsocially conditioned, which juxtaposes him against Donnie really nicely, that he couldn't, like he can't play to cameras. He can't, much like Clubber Lang, like, he can't dress himself up for the occasion kind of, which is hard to play, I think. And he pulls it off, Well,
that's the last you'll see of him.
Another time that I can think of an actor who played a character like that was Joaquin Phoenix in that Paul Thomas Anderson movie. What was it?
Was The Master?
Yes, The Master.
Yes.
That's an amazing performance.
So oh my goodness, that's a double amazing performance.
Oh, with Philip Seymour Hoffman too. Yeah. That's I mean, like the movie itself, I don't know how much it resonated with me, but the performance sure did.
Yeah, it's like it's performance fodder. I don't know what the movie's about really, but I remember it being very unsettling.
I realized
Scientology.
These Creed movies have been coming out since 2015. It's like we're going on like 10 years of Creed movies.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's like this is like a real thing, these Creed movies. But I'll give them credit for this. They don't come out one after another real quick. They take their time.
Yeah. They announced that they wrapped filming on the Joker 2 or whatever it's called.
That's pretty awesome.
French. And then but that's being released in 2024, and that'll be 5 years after Joker 1. So
yeah.
It's time's going by fast because I feel like Joker just came out.
Yeah, it's been 5 damn years. Yeah,
or
I'm definitely looking forward to Joker 2. Yeah, I just think they have something interesting on their hands there. I remember it feels like yesterday that they were like, "Do you know that Martin Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio might want to make a Joker movie of some kind?" And it kind of turned into that.
Yes.
Just a few other quick comments about Creed 3. I think all of the villains in every Rocky and Creed movie, like all of them, the villains are heroes in their own story. Like even Drago. Drago's the most villainous, but even he is like this victim of this state-run, boxing thing.
Yes.
Clubber Lang is an underdog. Apollo has a lot to prove. Tommy Gunn has a lot to prove. Mason the Lion Dixon, I think, is a really interesting villain. It's always been the case that like they're their own heroes. And this goes right along with that, I thought. So like when Sly says this is an unrelatable film, I don't think so. It hits basically all the same beats of any Rocky movie. Dan said, he was like, it's kind of like Rocky 3, 4, and 5 in a blender.
Yeah.
But I'll grant you that like the magic of it is kind of missing at this point, and because I think the magic is the Sly performance.
Right. Well, it's personal. It's personal for him.
Yeah, it sure is. There's an element of suspense in it that's quite nice, because they're friends for like half the movie, but that they're gonna fight by the end of the film. So there's kind of like a nice element of like, when's this all gonna fall apart, which kind of works. There's a scene after the fight where the two of them sit down together and like have a long chat, like kind of a solemn chat. And I was like, I think that might be the first time in this entire franchise that there was a post-fight scene between the two competitors.
Yeah,
They
I
always
don't think
done in the ring.
Yeah, I don't remember anything like that.
I don't think there's any of them. And they also, I think it's the only time, maybe not the only time. It's not been too often that the competitors go the distance. They go all 15 or 12 rounds now, and they're even. Where they're both winning an equal number of rounds. Normally, like in Rocky 2, like Apollo just dominates. In Rocky 3, it's just 3 rounds. In Rocky 4, Drago dominates. So that tends to be the case. So that was interesting to keep them evenly matched the whole time, which I think matches the story that they're going for. So it had nice narrative drive. Oh, there was one really weird thing about it, EJ. Michael B. Jordan directed it. I think there are sequences that are nicely conducted. I think the whole movie has a nice narrative drive to it. It's got like kind of a rhythm. It's got scenes lead to each other. Even when the plot is stretched, it leads the audience along nicely, I think. But on at least 2 or 3 occasions, there'll be like sit down dialogue scenes where they continuously cut away from the person who's speaking and hang way too long on the person who's listening. And the person who's listening is not really doing anything interesting. So it feels like maybe the scenes were longer and they had to chop them up. And
they like ADR'd the crap out of them.
It feels that, yeah, like on a number of times I'm like, why because I want to, if I'm interested in what the person's saying, I want to be looking at them while they say it.
Right.
And I keep like not being able to catch the characters. Like you there?
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they went on way too long. Maybe there was like a note, it's like, oh, you're just redundantly going over the same stuff or something. Let's speed it up. It might, maybe it was something like that. And that
I got the impression that they wanted to get the thing under 2 hours.
Yeah.
And this is what it took. So it's Creed 3. I don't know. If you're a Rocky fan, you kind of, did I lose you again?
No, I'm here.
Oh, I can hear you. If you're a Rocky fan, you sort of have to go see it, but I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I think that Creed 2 and 3 are 2 fairly large blemishes on an otherwise amazing franchise. And I hear that they're doing TV series and all the rest of it. And I think Rocky's about to get the fucking a Drago spinoff. I think Rocky's about to get the Star Wars treatment. And that is very sad.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.